The one person that had the most influence on my life was my grandpa Buckner, and I wrote this song to honor him. My grandpa and grandma lived in the ways of the old mountain people, and they took all of us kids to the woods and taught us how to hunt and fish and trap and how to do all the things that the old Appalachian mountain people did. And they grew and raised most of their own food and preserved it. And I'm just so glad that I got to experience that and experience that lifestyle. But most of all, Grandma and Grandpa both, they just loved all of us kids. You know, it was so great to get to come down here to Pa's house and play and just be with him and Grandma. So I wrote this song to honor him. There's a hawk hunting right here in this field behind Grandpa's house. You can hear him screeching. There he goes. My grandpa was the greatest man that I have ever known, and he taught me all the things that every little girl should know. He taught me how to cast a line and how to bait a hook, and that the world is full of magic if you just know where to look. Oh, the love of my grandpa can never be replaced. He's been gone a long time, but I miss him every day. And I hope God forgives me for what I'm about to say, but I'd nearly sell my soul just to see that old man's face. I remember hugs and kisses and the whiskers on his cheeks. I remember how he'd let us play outside in our bare feet. I remember all the stories of the mountains that he told. Oh, I thought he'd live forever and that he never would grow old. Oh, the love of my grandpa can never be replaced. He's been gone a long time, but I miss him every day. And I hope God forgives me for what I'm about to say, but I'd nearly sell my soul just to see that old man's face. Well, he never worried much about the things that trouble man. He knew the trials of life were all just part of God's great plan. I'm so honored that my grandpa was this sweet and gentle man, and I hope someday to tell him that he made me who I am. Oh, the love of my grandpa can never be replaced. He's been gone a long time, but I miss him every day. And I hope God forgives me for what I'm about to say, but I'd nearly sell my soul just to see that old man's face. And I'd take everything I have and give it all away, to put my hand in his hand and walk just one more day. Oh, I'd put my hand in his hand and walk just one more day. This is Pa's smokehouse. We were not allowed to go in there because he kept his tools and anything he wanted to keep secret from Ma locked up in his smokehouse. But I do remember one time he took me in there and showed me how to salt a ham, so that I would always know how to preserve meat. On this side of Pa's smokehouse there used to be a chicken coop attached to it, and one of my jobs in the evening was to come down here and get the eggs out from under the old hens. And they were so mean, and I was so scared of them because when you reached under them to try to get the egg, they would peck you. So I hated coming down here to get the eggs out from under these chickens. This is the remains of our favorite climbing tree, and we used to have tire swings on it. Of course, we'd climb all the way to the top of it, and as you can see, it's seen better days. But this was a special tree that Pa and Ma called a tobby tree. And I think its correct name might be, is it a catalpa tree? I'm not sure. But once a year, special caterpillars came out and got on just this species of tree, and we would gather them all up and use them for fish bait. It was fun to catch them. This is what's left of Pa's hog pen. They raised most of their own meat, and he would usually raise 2 pigs a year, at least, which I didn't much like this because I always got attached to the little piggies, and I hated it when it came time to slaughter them. And this is the scalding tub. And what a scalding tub was for is you filled it full of boiling water, you lit a fire under it and got the water boiling, and you would take the pig and dip him in the scalding water so that you could take the hair, so you could scrape the hair off of his body then. That was usually the job I got stuck with, and I did not like it, to say the least. This is what's left of Pa's storm cellar. He was deathly afraid of storms. So anytime it thundered and lightning and the sky turned dark, he made us all come down here and sit in the storm cellar until the weather passed over. And we didn't really mind doing this because we always had so much fun down here locked in the storm cellar with Ma and Pa. This is the back of Pa and Ma's house. There used to be a porch all the way across this, but sometime, I think maybe in the late 80s or early 80s, they decided to put running water in their house for the first time, and so they boxed this little back porch in and made a room and put them a little bathroom in here. This is Grandma's door that went in and out of her kitchen, which is where I filmed the song at. And this is where she threw all of her dishwater out. There was always a puddle because she would wash her dishes in a big tub, and when she got done washing her dishes, she'd just open up the door and throw it out. So there was always a puddle right under our climbing tree, and we didn't like that. This is the front of Pa and Ma's house, and my daddy came along in later years and put a metal roof on it and put siding on it, but most of the time when I was growing up here, it just had tar paper siding on the house. And this front porch was the center of everything. We were all either sitting on the front porch working, or Pa and Ma would sit on the front porch and watch us kids play and run all around, so we spent a lot of time here on this front porch. Right here was Pa and Ma's garden, and it's all gone now, and the fence has been tore down and all that, but this is where they raised all their own food. They hardly ever had to go to town. They would go to town and get milk and coffee and flour and just a few little essentials like that. And then everything else they raised out here in their garden, and Grandma canned it. These are the hills and woods that we played in. There used to be a whole pack of kids running through these woods all day long. And these are also the woods and hills that Pa and Ma took us to and taught us all about the wilderness and animals and nature and plants. I remember Pa took me out in these woods one time and showed me how to take the bark off of a tree and peel it and treat it so that you could weave it into a chair bottom. That's one of my fondest memories of him in the woods. And I remember too, he brought me down here and showed me how to make a whistle out of a tree limb or a little tree branch, and I can't remember exactly what tree it was. It might have been a poplar, I don't know, but you could make like almost a little flute out of a tree branch. It was pretty cool.